It is. It's so great that friendship is what we're talking about today, because it's a perfect subject for my first Sunday back after 3 months away, sabbatical. We had both amazing opportunities to connect with friends, and some of those connections were planned and some of those were out of the blue, and they all filled my heart with so much gratitude and reminded me that neither time nor distance can really break a loving connection with a true friend. I mean, they just keep showing up in your life. So just for a moment, I want you to think about some of the good friends that you have treasured over the years. You know, can you picture yourself with them? What is something positive that you especially remember about those friends? Maybe just pick one of them and think about them. Just, some of them don't stay with us for the rest of our lives. Some come for a while and then pass on, and that's okay too. Because each one brings us gifts that we can hold in our hearts. So if you're willing to indulge me, I want to share a few of the friendship connections that I was blessed to have this summer. First, there are 5 of us who grew up in Normandy Park, south of Seattle, when I was age 5 to 13. That was a long time ago. Some of you have heard me talk about the Normandy girls. That's what we call ourselves. And we all got reacquainted again about 15 years ago. And since then, we've taken a trip every year except for 2020 during COVID. And we don't see each other much, some of us, except for that time during the year. Life has taken us through so many changes together. We have laughed, we have grieved, we've been silly, we've been serious, and we've grown in love and appreciation for each other over all those years as they go by. And this year we shared our time in an Airbnb at Seaside. And so it was 4 nights in June. And I just treasure those times that we get to reconnect and reestablish our friendship with each other. Then in July, Jackson and I took our trailer, woohoo, the Imagine trailer, down to Salem so we could see one of his classmates from Whittier High School class of 1960. Woohoo! And Steve is also married to a Cheryl who is also 10 years younger than him. And so we discovered that we have not only that in common, but we have a lot more things in common. And we just loved the conversations that came up, and there was some music that was played as well, and just a fun time. It's a relatively new friendship for us. One day, a couple of weeks ago, Chris found a phone message at the office that was a woman asking if our Unity could connect her to me. She had lost my phone number and all that stuff. Well, so I saw the name and I thought, well, there's a blast from the past. It turned out to be a Presbyterian minister, and those of you that don't know me, I was a Presbyterian minister for 25 years before I came to Unity. So this was a Presbyterian minister that I worked with on small church ministry teams way back with the Presbyterian Church USA in the 90s. And so I called her back, and we had some amazing fun conversations, just catching up over 30-some years since we had really seen each other. You can't make these things up, they just show up. And just last week, I was able to use some airline points and fly my friend Susan out from Nebraska. And we had so much fun. We took off and we saw a friend of hers on Whidbey Island. We took in the breathtaking beauty of Butchart Gardens in Victoria. We saw Chihuly Gardens right at the Space Needle, bottom of the Space Needle. we drove home one weekend so that we could spend some time with Jackson and my son Evan. Now Susan and her then husband, who was in seminary with my first husband and myself, so 3 of the 4 of us were in seminary, poor as could be, and Susan and her husband were the kind that we could say, well, we've got a can of tomato soup and some bread. Do you have any cheese? And then we'd go to one apartment or the other and have a meal together. So they were the kind of friends that when Evan was born, they were on the list of 4 calls that we were going to make to our parents and to them and to another couple. When Evan was born, we called. And many years and life circumstances later, Evan just celebrated his 44th birthday. Susan and I have committed to talking with each other once a month by phone. And that has kept that friendship really fresh, really alive. And what was nice was we discovered that we were pretty good traveling companions as well. So she got used to me wanting ice cream every other day, and I got used to her doing yoga in our motel rooms. So I'd love for you now to think about your responses to this question in a minute. What are the ingredients for building a healthy friendship? What are the ingredients for building a healthy friendship? We got to sing this song today. It was like a blast from the past, the We Are All Friends Here. And I remember that we sang that when I first came as a minister. And I looked around and I said, no, we're not. There were some people who just really weren't being very kind to one another. And there were people who wouldn't even talk to each other. And I could see that this song was, yes, it's an affirmation. It's like, we're going to put this out because this is what we truly do want. How will we bring that intention forward into the life of this congregation, into our own lives? How do we bring it into manifestation? We are all friends here. So what do you think is needed in order for us to go beyond simply being friendly to being a friendship nurturing place? What do you look for in a friendship? And I'd love to hear some of your responses. And I'll say in the back, what do you look? What is needed for a true friendship?
Acceptance.
Acceptance, trust, caring, kindness, honesty.
Just the way you are.
Just the way you are, what we tell our kids and ourselves every day. Humor, what? Time. Yeah. Anything else? Those are great. In my preview for this talk, I said that I had seen an article called The 5 A's of Relationship Prosperity. It was in Spirituality and Health, a Unity publication, a magazine that Unity puts out. And Natalii Marie Anato is the author. So I want to share those 5 things, and you're going to see that some of the things that you brought up are also in those 5 things. 5 A's of relationship prosperity. The first one, and she says she comes from a mindfulness perspective. And I think the first one tells that. The first thing is attention. And she says, first pay attention to what's going on in you. The place to begin in any relationship is to be present to yourself. You don't start with the other person, you start with where you are. And Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk, suggests that when we're getting ready to connect with somebody, that we just take 3 seconds to breathe and bring to mind our mind and our body coming together. And then we may be ready to give the other person our full attention, to be present with them because we're present with ourselves. in May, we went back to a conference in Colorado. And then because we were there, we got to go to the Mile High Church in Denver. Any of you know about the Science of Mind or Centers for Spiritual Living? They're kind of a sister organization, New Thought, a lot like Unity. And so this is their flagship church. It's the big one. And so Reverend Dr. Michelle Medrano, their co-leader, spoke that day, and she was amazing. But what really stayed with me was we got into line, to greet her afterwards. And I watched her, and every person got her full attention. I know I don't do that sometimes. I'm talking to you and they go, oh, no. She gave each person full attention. And it was beautiful. And I thought, well, that's the way I want to do it. That's beautiful. So it does take attention to create a relationship. And I think part of attention is that time. We give each other time. And it may be once a year. I have another friend that we don't call each other very often, but when we do, it matters. The second one is acceptance. That came up, right? Acceptance. Friends don't necessarily have to think alike or act alike. I mean, we can have very different political or spiritual approaches to life. A lot of my friends just don't get unity. It's okay, because we all get about loving. And so that's the important part. Our personalities may be very different, and none of that matters very much, though, if we feel accepted by the other person for who we are. When my first husband left, he came out of the closet. We were co-pastors, and I was in this little town in Iowa, and a woman showed up at my door one day by the name of Connie. Now, Connie was a Missouri Synod Lutheran. Some of you know that means that women don't minister there, they don't get to have leadership there, and that, my ideas about Planned Parenthood and choice, that was certainly not part of it, and my husband having left because he was gay, that was certainly not part of it. But she showed up and she just made me laugh, gave me hugs, asked how I was doing. Nobody in town could figure out how Connie and Cheryl ever got together. But when we went back for Dave's funeral a few years later, we stayed at her house. So friends don't have to be just like us. The main thing is that we open our hearts and are able to be ourselves with each other. And I think that along the way, we expand each other when we're with somebody who's very different. A good friendship, I think, encourages both parties to grow. The third one is appreciation. I was so tired when I got home from taking my friend back to the airport to send her back to Nebraska that it took me 2 days before I actually looked at my computer and discovered there was a card on my computer from her. And it was heartfelt and it was beautiful. And so were the hugs that we gave each other at the airport. Those little or big signs of appreciation bring an extra sparkle to a friendship. How are you showing appreciation for your friends? The fourth one is affection, sorry. And Naomi said that this was especially towards couples, but she admitted it could be good for friends too. It's another way of showing appreciation. The hug, the pat on the back, the secret handshake, I never could figure those out. The smile, the wink. It's nice to know that somebody cares about us, right? And the last one is allowing. In this article, it had to do with us not holding so tightly to our friends that we can't let them do other things apart from us. That we allow each other to do different things. And I'm so grateful that Jackson was okay with Susan and me taking off on our travels for a week. We missed each other, and we texted and we called, and we both got to do different things. I got to go sightseeing at a really fast pace with Susan. And he got to stay home and read and write and, oh yeah, get over COVID. So there are 5 ideas about nurturing friendships: attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. And I'm sure you could come up with your own list too. What I would love for our takeaway today to be is that though some friendships just seem to begin almost miraculously and effortlessly, it does take some effort to nurture a friendship. And isn't connecting positively with others so needed in our world right now? Our media person, Soul, posted this on our Unity Facebook page this week, and I thought it was really nice. She said, when we see the divine in each other, we build bridges where walls once stood. May we build bridges of friendship here at Unity Spiritual Life Center.